Climate change. Read and enjoy. Let's read the article about climate change, its causes, impacts and solutions. This is the major problem of countries all around the world. Look out through your window. Is it raining, cloudy or sunny outside? Whatever condition is, it is today's weather. Rainy, snow, windy or hot, they are all weather that changes over weeks, hours, days and even minutes. Weather is day-to-day condition in the atmosphere. Climate is long-term weather of an area. It is a region's general weather pattern that happens over a course of 25 to 30 years. It is favorable climate that makes life possible on the earth. The climate of an area affects the kind of plants that grow there. Plants' growth depend on precipitation and temperature. As a result, we get variety of food in our meats. We can see different types of climate on the earth. Climate classification was developed in 19th century by Russian-German climatologist Vladimir Köppen. It was based on the temperature, the amount of precipitation and the times of year when precipitation occurs. He divided climate into 5 types: tropical, dry, temperate, continental and polar. This classification is based on local vegetation because climate and vegetation are intricately linked. The type of climate we experience today was predicted by many scientists many years back. In 1896, Swedish scientist Svander Arrhenius explained that if quantity of CO2 for our purpose in the atmosphere were to drop by half the current amount, then the Earth's surface temperature could drop by 4 degrees. If the concentration were to double, then it would warm by 4 degrees. He also predicted about the influence of human activity on climate change. He was renowned with Nobel Prize for Chemistry in 1903. He suggested that human-caused emissions of CO2 from burning fossil fuels would raise to global temperature. In his article, published in 1896, he warned that if CO2 level increases, the Earth would experience warming of between 5 and 6 degrees Celsius. He also cleared that human industrial activity was the main source of CO2 into the atmosphere. But unfortunately, all his studies were ignored. Charles David Keeling, an American scientist, also proved that the level of carbon dioxide was increasing in the atmosphere due to burning of fossil fuels. He predicted that such a rise might cause global warming. Today scientists say that if greenhouse gas level continue to rise at present level, the Earth's global average temperature will rise to 4 degrees Celsius during the 21st century. They say that human activities are 95% responsible for climate change. Greenhouse gases trap heat and make the Earth warmer. Burning more and more fossil fuels like oil and coal, which release CO2, increase greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide, ozone and chlorofluorocarbons are greenhouse gases. Human activities are adding too much of these gases to the atmosphere, and as a result they let sunlight pass through the atmosphere but prevent the heat that the sunlight brings from leaving the atmosphere. During the day sun warms up the earth, and during the night the earth releases heat back into the air. Some of the heat that earth releases is trapped by the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere. That's why earth is getting warmer day by day. Too much of these gases can cause earth's atmosphere more warm. Warmer temperature are causing changes to the aspects of climate such as rain, snow and clouds. They are also causing changes to other parts of the earth such as oceans, ice, marine life, and human beings. In future we will see much more rain and risk of flood due to warm temperature. Snow and ice melt when the climate warms. Over the past 100 years, mountains, glaciers in all around the world has decreased in size. Greenland is situated between the Arctic and Atlantic Oceans. It is almost entirely covered with ice. Due to rising temperature, the ice sheet in Greenland melting faster and country's landscape is changing. Climate is warming rapidly in the North Polar region. Sea ice and thickness is decreasing in the Arctic Ocean. The population of animals and number of plants are also changing in the Arctic. Sea ice is a critical habitat for a variety of animals such as polar bears, seals, and penguins. The population of these animals is declining. All of the food that polar bears eat come from the sea. They hunt for food on floating sea ice that is unfortunately shrinking each year. The ice sheet of Greenland has lost over 5,000 gigatons of ice over last 4 decades. Sea levels are rising many millimeters. Melting ice sheets and glaciers are adding trillions of tons of fresh water into our oceans. Scientists estimate that if the entire Greenland ice sheet were to melt, global sea level would rise about 7 meters. They estimate that entire coastal cities could be underwater within 50 years, like Miami in US and Osaka in Japan. They further estimate that entire island nations in the Pacific could completely disappear. Warm sea surface temperature is affecting too many marine organisms like kelp and corals. Many of the coral animals die because of warm water. To tackle this problem, in Paris in 2015, world leaders from 197 countries signed the Paris Agreement. They pledged to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. They set their own targets on how much CO2 they would emit. But CO2 level did not stop. Though climate change is affecting us, natural disasters are becoming more and more intense and frequent with devastating consequences. Floods, droughts in different parts of the world, creating a situation that is a real threat to human beings. We are not doing enough. We need to change everything about the way we run our world. Experts say it is all of us that can change the world. The global population has tripled in the past 70 years. Population growth along with increasing consumption tends to increase emissions of climate-changing greenhouse gases. Population pressure increases emission through the burning of fossil fuels, increased material extraction, deforestation, industrial, agricultural and other manufacturing process. Trees absorb carbon dioxide and regulate the climate. When trees are cut down, they release their stored carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. Fertilizers that are added to crops are a major contributor of non-CO2 greenhouse gas emission. When farmers add nitrogen-containing fertilizers to their field, some of nitrogen is taken up by plants but another portion is lost to the environment. This seeps into the soil and taken away into the rivers and other water bodies by rain. If we don't slow this warming down, it could mean catastrophe. Although there are many challenges, we can overcome this problem. Use of renewable energy is the best way to stop using fossil fuels. These include technologies like solar, wind, tidal and geothermal power. By reducing the use of petrol and diesel vehicles like aeroplane, ships, car etc., bicycle or public transport can be used instead of car or bike. By avoiding products with a lot of packaging, it can reduce garbage by 10%. By improving farming practices and investing in efficient form of agriculture. By protecting forests because trees suck huge amount of carbon dioxide. So, we must plant more and more trees. By turning off electronic devices when those are not in use. By protecting oceans as they absorb large amount of carbon dioxide. By reducing the use of plastic. By buying things that can be reused. By consuming less products from animals. By composting organic waste. The bad old days. When Earth was a young planet spinning in space, it certainly was a more dangerous place, with hot molten lava that flowed far and wide, and meteors falling but no place to hide. It's good that we missed it. We could have been smashed. The thunder was frightening, the lightning bolts flashed as tidal waves surged from the pull of the moon, and rain tumbled down in an endless monsoon. When continents slowly rose from the sea, the landscape was rocky, as bare as could be, without any green plants or creatures that crawl, since Earth at that time had no life forms at all. The breezes were toxic, the volcanoes smoked, the air was so poisonous, we would have choked. A billion years later, it's hard to say when, bacteria started to make oxygen. The life forms were simple, but slowly they grew. Then cells joined together to make something new. Since those early ages when Earth was ablaze, life has evolved in spectacular ways.